Some news wakes a nation from its sleep with a startle that does not soon fade. Today, we find ourselves looking out at a world changed in the space of a single night. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead, killed in a storm of bombs and fire as the skies above Tehran cracked with the thunder of warplanes. The order came, so it is said, from our own president and from the leaders of Israel, in the hope of ending a shadow that had long darkened the Middle East. For a moment, headlines speak of triumph and of the death of tyranny. But I ask you with all solemn sincerity, what is it that has truly died? And what awoke with the dawn? Picture the flag outside a small-town courthouse, its cloth stiff in a rising wind, as news breaks on radios and televisions from coast to coast. In every American home, fathers and mothers turn to each other, some with pride, some with worry. There is talk of freedom and relief at the fall of a feared man. Yet in the same breath rides a question that cannot be swept away so quick. Is freedom brought by force ever truly freedom, or does it demand something more? Let us set the table, plain as we can. The facts are these. A combined airstrike, American and Israeli, fell upon Iran's leaders and their strongholds. No warning was given, no public word with Congress, nor the people before the attack. The president, alone with his counsel and in his confidence, struck at a regime the world has long condemned, and the world now watches for what will follow. Some hail it as a bold defense, an end to nuclear threats and the fist of repression. State media in Iran declares days of mourning, even as the streets fill with both grief and anger. Oil prices rise, the markets rattle. In Washington, the halls of Congress echo with questions not asked soon enough. Some say that what's done was needed to keep America safe. Others say law, once set aside, seldom finds its feet again. Imagine Congress late at night, lights burning in office windows, lawmakers gathered in small knots, voices hushed as they read new reports coming in. Yet in Tehran, too, windows are aglow, some with candlelit mourning, others with the flicker of protest fires. Families cling to each other, not knowing what comes next. The old ruler is gone, but the pain and fear linger in the air. In this hour, we sense what history means when it speaks of crossroads. But a crossroads offers no rest, only the need to choose. I find myself asking, can a republic win the world and lose its soul? Now comes the moment when our pride in victory stands toe-to-toe with doubt, for the blow was delivered not by the many, but by one. The Congress, keeper of the people's war power, finds it was neither asked nor heeded. The world saw our flag fly first, and now wonders if it will also carry the weight of what follows. Have we handed our laws, our judgment, our very conscience to the mercy of a single hand? Or does there remain a boundary that even the greatest power must not cross? Think of a silent living room, TV glowing blue in the darkness, as a family leans forward. Who among them, you wonder, feels safer tonight, and who feels a chill at the swiftness of events? There in that ordinary home, the question lingers. Are we more secure now or only more exposed? Will the storm of war that reached Tehran drift home on the winds, or have we, through our might, kept it at bay? That hard question sits between each hopeful headline. Consider for a moment the risk and the promise. A tyrant fallen, yes. A nuclear threat perhaps struck down, if reports are true. Yet every step forward is shadowed by another, heavier truth. When victory comes at the price of bypassing the slow chain of law, does it hold not just for today but for the days yet to come? Picture a busy gas station as the sun rises, workers glancing at the price board as numbers tick upward. A quiet ripple of fear about how far the trouble might spread, and what tanks and hearts may soon run empty. Now, as dawn breaks over Washington, the president speaks of a turning point, of freedom's new chance in Iran. In the same hour, questions gather like clouds, questions about the right to command, the duty to consult, and the meaning of order in a land that calls itself free. Here lies a contradiction too great to pass by. Does restraint in war weaken a nation, or steady it for the dangers no bomb can end? That contradiction is not just for distant scholars. It lives in our laws, our homes, our hopes. Let us turn the lens to Tehran. The old order shattered, yet chaos not yet turned to hope. In back alleys, children whisper to each other, their parents keeping one eye to the sky. Picture the courtyard of a mosque at dusk, men and women gathering in uneasy silence, trying to understand whether they have entered a new morning or a deeper night. The world watches as a great shadow falls, and the meaning of victory stands unsettled. Some say the city is freed, others claim it is simply wounded. Across the radio dial, every report gives a new count of the dead and wonders if a just order can sprout from the hard soil of violence. Still, in America, we must look to our own house. With a single sudden act, what had been a matter for slow public debate became a memory, a point behind us, not before us. And yet, I must ask, if the Republic's deeper strength lies in the consent of the governed, what does it mean when consent is set aside for speed? This is not a new worry for our country. Any nation can grow impatient. There are hours when patience feels like weakness and restraint like cowardice. But these hours are the very time when we most need to touch the foundations on which our republic stands. Now let us look at history itself. We have seen before that power, unchecked, does not simply come and go with the troubles of the day. It settles into new habits and shapes the whole path ahead. Think of a farmer standing at the edge of his field, watching a storm cloud coming over the hills. The ground is thirsty, but too much rain at once brings ruin instead of life. In the same way, too swift an answer, too much force set loose at once, may soak the roots of our freedom until they drown. Is the defense of our nation best served by swiftness or by careful deliberation? That question, like a door left partly open, calls us to consider what lies beyond. Picture an empty classroom in a small school, sunlight streaming across rows of quiet desks. On the board is written a lesson about checks and balances, the wisdom of many voices guiding a nation's course. Will this teaching hold its place, or be rubbed out, quietly, when crisis shouts loudest? In moments such as these, each citizen must reckon with the difference between victory and virtue. Not all that is possible is right. Not every strong act is wise. It is easy sometimes to dismiss such talk as the worry of soft hearts. But I would say the softer heart is often the stronger. There is much talk about the world being safer after this night. Oil may flow, alliances may be won, enemies may pause before their own ambitions. These may all be true. But there is as much danger in what we do not see, the erosion, slow and invisible, of self-restraint. I find myself remembering the old story of the blacksmith who strikes too hard and breaks his own anvil, a loss not seen in the moment of exertion, but deep and lasting after the work is done. Was this blow against Iran a handiwork shaped for peace, or an anvil now cracked? Can a nation, proud of its arms, remain prouder still of its order? In the months ahead, much will be made of the fallen tyrant's record, his crimes, his threats. These are not small matters, yet even great wrongs suffered by a people do not free it from the higher duty to its laws. Imagine a veteran at a parade, medals on his chest, eyes fixed ahead. He remembers wars that never felt simple, moments when hard choices had no easy answer. Maybe he wonders, as do many, if honor lies in strength or in restraint, or in the balance between the two. Now let us speak plainly about the law itself. The Constitution gave Congress the power of war for a reason. It was to make war the act of the nation, not a single man's will. Some argue the urgency required secrecy and speed, but if we always make exceptions, what habits take root for the next storm? A republic's character is measured not by what it does in the day of ease, but in the day of fear. When men of power act alone, bypassing the body that speaks for us all, it may win a battle, but risk losing the public's trust. Is it not true in the end that trust is the real defense of a free society? Picture a town square during an evening vigil, candles flickering, people bowing their heads in prayer, not just for victory abroad, but for mercy, for wisdom, for the promise that violence is not the only path to a safer world. As we look forward, the greatest danger may not be Iran's anger, nor the world's confusion, but the subtle drift inside our own soul, the habit of power exercised without pause, sorrow, or public consent. A nation can forgive a misstep, but it cannot for long abide the loss of self-government. That is the warning history whispers, again and again, to those who would trade process for speed. Now let us pause. For in the pause we find the silence in which conscience and reason must answer. In silence, a republic asks itself hard questions, and sometimes in that hush, the noblest part of our character is revealed. When law and courage walk together, America is strongest. But when they part, even for a night, cracks begin to show, whether seen at once or not. Picture a busy newsroom, reporters working through the night, phones ringing, people struggling to match headlines with the deeper meaning behind each fact. The first stories are of triumph, the next of uncertainty. As the world studies our actions, it sees both the justice we claim and the methods by which we claim it. If we say restraint is weakness, how long before others believe the same? And if every shadow abroad can call forth the lightning, what storms will we reap tomorrow, here at home? These are not questions for generals alone, but for families, teachers, preachers, laborers, every single person who claims a share in the life of this republic. Just as a judge must weigh the whole case, not only the guilt of the accused, so too must a nation weigh its power not merely by what it can do, but what it ought to do. But what happens if we forget how to argue well with ourselves? If war and law become enemies, not brothers, then the victories won outside our borders may be the very wounds that weaken us within. This, I believe, is the threshold we stand upon. A thunderclap of action has cleared the sky, but in the clear air, our eyes must read the horizon for deeper signs. I invite you to reflect on simpler times. Think of a kitchen table, bills and newspapers scattered between coffee cups, an old radio playing softly as the family debates the day's news. Across the table, someone asks, "Did they do right?" Silence follows, not from ignorance, but from respect for the weight of the answer. America's greatness is not won by silence. It is proved by voices, lawful, civil, determined, meeting each action with hard questions and honest hopes. Let us consider the children who will read of this night in their history books. What lesson will echo from these pages? That America's might is matched only by its principles, or that fear can excuse a nation from the burden of its own design. Imagine a city bus at dawn, passengers staring out at the gray streets, each wrestling with the meaning and cost of the week's events. In their hearts is the wish for safety, yes, but also for clarity, for a promise that tomorrow will not require greater sacrifice of the rules that once bound even the highest leader. Here again, the heart of the Republic is tested, not by what danger pressed us into action, but what character we reveal after the echoes fade. Will Congress, having been cut from the decision, now reclaim its duty, or let this exception codify a new norm? Will the people, feeling pride and fear in equal measure, insist on the return of open debate? This is the healing work of democracy, often slow, sometimes awkward, always necessary. There will be voices, angry and bold, who demand loyalty without criticism, and voices, too, cynical and weary, who see only doom. Between these, let us be steady. The Republic can be saved, not because defects are denied, but because flaws are faced together and made right through law. Now picture a school gym on election day, volunteers setting out flags, children watching as parents line up to vote. The simple dignity of a ballot, private, quiet, lawful, is the true engine of America's strength. It is this ritual, not cannon fire, that makes a nation truly safe. If this crisis teaches anything, let it be that there is no substitute for participation. When we surrender debate for the sake of speed, we trade away what makes us worthy of our liberties. Let us be neither too quick to cheer, nor too swift to condemn. Let us demand always that those who act for us explain what they have done and why. Only then can trust and order live together. No president, nor soldier, nor judge stands above the people's duty to question. Law gives America her crown, not thunder nor fire. If justice means anything, it lives in the daylight, where every act may be examined, and each doubt met with an honest reply. Picture a quiet courthouse in the morning, townsfolk waiting as the doors open, sunlight falling through dusty windows. Folks gather, curious and cautious. They do not come seeking revenge. They come, each in their own way, seeking reassurance that the laws still hold and that power listens to reason. If today's actions slip into habit, tomorrow's leaders may reach even farther. pushing the boundaries bit by bit until the lines blur between duty and desire. This is not the design our founders drew in hard times. It is not the freedom that costs so dear. Think of a soldier, standing guard at the edge of town, not knowing if his work carries the law of the land or just the rumor of power. He too deserves the clarity of law, the confidence that his orders flow from a people rightly heard. In all things, let us hold this simple test. Does each act defend liberty, or only the comfort of those in command? For if we abandon caution when afraid, what kind of safety will we enjoy when the fear has passed? We are stewards, not just beneficiaries of a system hundreds of years in the making. Our Constitution was built for storms such as this, its words meant to hold firm when the wind rises. To set it aside, even for a day, is to risk more than the trials we seek to solve. Today we find ourselves divided by fast judgments, online, in print, in hurried talk at the market or in the pew. Some urge silence, some call for outrage. But America's hope lies between, in honest speech, careful listening, and the patience to sort right from easy. Imagine a child, hand in hand with a parent, walking to school past flags flying at half-mast. The questions come, as they always do. Did our leaders choose well? Will the laws protect us tomorrow? Are we the kind of country worth hoping for? In the many rooms of this land, hearts ache with uncertainty, but also pride. We are not given to despair. Our history, with its scars and blessings alike, tells it plain. America's strength is her unity. It is never too late to turn from error, nor too late to restore faith. If this week's news unsettles you, remember, history has seen this before. Each great test reveals both the cracks and the courage within a people. The Republic can be saved not by denying its troubles, but by facing them, with both humility and resolve. So I ask you tonight, what does it mean in these uncertain times to be a good citizen? Is it enough to obey the law, or must we also watch over those who write and carry it out? Will we speak, steady, unafraid, when power grows impatient with restraint? Because in the end, the future will remember not the noise of the hour, but the choices that lingered once the noise had faded. Let the record show. A free people judged their own actions, heeded the call for caution, and rose, each in their own humble way, to hold liberty and trust for those yet unborn. And so with hope, I ask, what sort of America will we hand down, not just in our strength but in the quiet steadiness of our law and conscience? The answer, as ever, rests in our hands.